The battered and burned murder trial for Linda Stermer. She's accused of beating her husband, Todd, then setting him on fire. And then, when that didn't work, according to the state, she ran him over with the family van. Let's head into the courtroom now. An insurance attorney who interviewed Linda Stermer is on the stand talking about the inconsistencies that he picked up in her version of events.
Mark,
that's when we started having her draw things out for us, yes.
Somebody had put the Is this the exhibit that you're referring to?
Yes, and that is her signature on the bottom right corner. So she, what we did, I believe I traced the outline of the house because she said that the walls were different than the plans. So we just traced the outline of the house and then she drew the interior stuff. She told me that she came to the top of the stairs, which you can see I had her indicate top at the top of the stairs. And that the fire was from the half wall, you can see half wall next to the dining room, to where Todd was standing, which is the small circle over toward the master bedroom.
I'm going to stop you there real quick.
Sure.
So when you say the small circle by the bedroom, let's see if I can get it right there.
Yeah.
The little circle, is that the one that she marked where Todd was?
She said that's where Todd was standing, and then the X over by the half wall, that's where Todd's chair was.
Okay.
She said there was fire on both sides of Todd, that she saw his upper body was actually in flames, and the fire went from him all the way to the chair, and that the chair and the half wall were on fire. But she said there was no fire towards the bedrooms.
Which would be then this side over here.
Correct. And she said that the fire that she saw going from the half wall to that circle did not go to where the fireplace was.
Okay. And did she say, once she marked this up and she's describing what she sees, did she tell you what she did?
She ran. She said she ran. She felt like she had to get out of there. And then as she was running out of there, she thought, oh, I should call for help. So she ran toward the kitchen from the top of the stairs. She ran towards the kitchen and out the front door of the house, where apparently the van was, and the van had the keys in the ignition. And she decided that she would drive to the neighbors to call for help because her phones were inside the house.
So can you explain, did she talk to you then about what she did when she came out of the house?
Yeah, and this is where things got a bit confusing.
All he needs to do is just read her answer from the transcript.
I can just say, I'm just trying to summarize it.
Sure, I'll phrase it a different way.
Okay. What?
Can you read from the transcript?
Well, I can refer to the page, Your Honor, with his answer, and we can pull the page up.
Okay.
I think that would be easier, because I think when Attorney Willison was saying there's multiple sections in the transcript that address this issue. So it's a summary, and then there's going to be different places we can go in different transcripts.
That's why I asked, he needs to just read. She need to ask him the question from the transcript and the answer that was given. That would be simple.
I'll allow her to proceed in whatever manner she chooses, just like you will be allowed to proceed in your cross as you see fit.
So I want to start out then with maybe the first conversation you had with her. If you can summarize what she said when she went out of the house.
She said, as she came out of the house, she heard a thud behind her and looked back and the door was shut. She did not see Todd come out of the house. She got into the van, was going to turn around, so she backed up straight, she said. And I think this is where we started to have her draw what was marked as Exhibit 4 to the examination under oath.
Okay, so I'm going to have you then go to, is this the drawing that you're referring
Yep.
to as your Exhibit 4?
Yes, if we
Okay.
could maybe
We'll
zoom
keep
in more.
this up. And so she said she backed up straight, and then what happened?
So she backed straight up. She didn't back up very far, and that's when she saw Todd in the yard.
And then
she
did she-
marked the position where she saw Todd in the yard with an X.
And so there's an X marked on this floor plan. Oh,
So right next to the house, if you
Right
zoom
there?
in, right next to the house, she wrote van in the driveway there.
okay, right
And-
where I've got it zeroed in.
And she said she backed straight up the driveway and then saw him standing where the X was.
Okay. All right, and if you could continue. So she saw
She
him.
said he was on fire. She was in the van facing the front door of the house. And then she drew a van with the number 2 in it.
Okay, so we'll pull that up. Oh. Number 2.
Yep.
Okay, what is the number 2?
And that's where the van was when she saw him. So she pulled up and stopped the van in the position where she marks number 3.
And there's 2 number 3s there, and one has a line through it. Can you explain why that is?
Yeah, she decided that she had driven off the path, apparently wanted to change the location, so she changed
So
it.
she corrected it. So
Yep.
she crossed off one and she corrected it then with the new place.
She said she drove up there really fast, and she jumped out and screamed at him to just lay down. Apparently Todd was screaming and trying to pull his clothes off. He was jumping and moving and wouldn't lie down no matter what she said. Then Linda told me that she tried to get close to him, but she didn't want to get too close because she didn't want to get burned. She was afraid to touch him. And then she jumped back in the van.
Now
Once
what did she do then once she jumped back in?
When she jumped back in the van, she couldn't get it to go backwards, so she slammed it into gear and went forward to position 4.
Okay, I'm going to mark position 4, which is here.
Yes.
And what is that dotted line then by number 4?
She said there was a fence line there, and she almost ran through the fence. And then she still couldn't back up, so she decided to go down and behind the house, so further downhill, to try and get traction. And 6 is where she ended up stopping, is what she
So
said.
you said number 6. So
And that is
back
now
here.
behind the house, correct.
Okay.
Obviously, I asked her more questions about why is she heading further away, and she told me that even though it was further downhill, that they would sometimes go down there because it was sandier down behind the house, and you could get better traction, so she figured she'd go down there and drive up. But
What do you mean drive up?
drive back up to go out the driveway to apparently go get help. But then she said that she left the van there and she got out of it. She never described to me that she then actually drove back up the hill from being back there. When she got to where position 6 is,
Which is again where?
behind the house.
Behind the house?
Yep.
Okay. When she gets to position 6, what does she say she does?
She said that she saw Todd. He was not on fire. He didn't have any clothes on at that point. He was badly burned, and she actually used the phrase that he was like pink melt.
Pink melt?
Pink melt.
Did she
And-
say she approached Todd?
She did. She also said that when he was in the state, that she laid on top of him at that point because I guess the neighbors, Connie and Mike, had seen the smoke and were coming up the driveway. She laid on top of him because he didn't have any clothes on. And then she also said she didn't want him to not be able to breathe. And then she also explained it was because she didn't want him to go into shock or freeze. She said she could feel his heart beating. She could tell that he was breathing, but it was hard for him. She said she put her mouth on his mouth a few times and just tried to give him little breaths. And she could see in that position that Todd's skin was melted.
And then did you ask her at any time if she remembered hitting Todd or how Todd got run over by the van?
Yes, she said she has no memory of that. She said that she had heard about that accusation prior to me talking to her. She has no idea, she told Kate she had no idea how the blood got on the van, and she told Len McHugh that she didn't know if she ran over Todd or if it was just a rumor about her running over Todd. But in all of these drawings and configurations, she never acknowledged or described an event where she hit her husband with a van.
All right, Linda Stermer getting emotional there, listening to this lawyer talk about what she told him about the events. We'll get a break, but first, Matt Roberts is with us. Your thoughts overall on this case against Linda? It's always tough for a retrial. Your thoughts?
Well, yeah, retrials can be tough. Again, in general, though, I think those are better for the prosecution because you have an idea of what you did wrong the first time. That's some pretty compelling testimony from that lawyer there, though, talking about her describing if this was the day she was going to get away from him, all of the coincidental things that happened that just lead to the death here, and her behavior is certainly not indicative of somebody who's trying to get away. She falls asleep in the basement. She'd make sure the kids leave, but don't say anything to the dad. She makes sure they leave in a certain vehicle, so she has the van. All very damning evidence in terms of her statements to that insurance lawyer, to be sure.
Yeah, her inconsistencies is what sunk her the first time around and may again this time as well.